Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-diving into some truly unsettling stories that will make you question what is real and what is lurking just out of sight. These accounts are more than just campfire tales. They're experiences that have stayed with the people who lived them. So turn down the lights, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Our first story takes place just last week. A college student was home alone for his final week of break. His parents had recently moved into a new house, and he was staying there by himself while they were on vacation. They told him the house only had a crawl space for utilities, no basement. The first night, he was lying in bed when he heard tapping sounds coming from directly beneath the floor. He tried to brush it off as the pipes, but the tapping was rhythmic, deliberate. It was coming from underground, where nothing was supposed to be. The next night, it came back, only louder. By the third night, it wasn't just tapping. He could hear dragging and scraping, like someone pulling something heavy right under his room. He called his dad, who suggested an animal must have gotten into the crawl space. So he went to check. He crawled under the porch with a flashlight, but found nothing. No animals, no broken vents, just dirt and pipes, but the feeling that something was wrong wouldn't go away. Later, while walking around the outside of the house, he noticed a pile of old construction materials leaning against a wall. Curiosity got the better of him, and he started moving the debris aside, and that's when he found it. Hidden beneath the junk was a storm door, painted over to blend in with the foundation. It led to a set of concrete stairs descending into darkness. He hadn't just found a crawl space, he'd found a secret basement. He only went down for a moment, but what he saw made his blood run cold. There were empty food containers and makeshift sleeping materials scattered on the floor. Someone had been living down there, but the most terrifying part was the walls. They were covered in strange, demonic-looking carvings and symbols, and there were tally marks, hundreds of them, scratched into the wooden beams. He ran back upstairs and immediately called his parents, who were just as shocked as he was. They had no idea the basement even existed. Before nightfall, he found a heavy padlock and locked the storm door. That same night, he was jolted awake by violent banging on the front door. Someone was trying to break in. The pounding was so loud he was frozen in his bed, heart hammering against his ribs. Then suddenly it stopped. When he finally got the courage to peek outside, he saw a figure sprinting away into the darkness. The police came and searched the area but found no one. His parents cut their trip short and rushed home. He left for college the next morning, but he can't stop thinking about it. The person living beneath them, the strange drawings, and what it all means. This next story comes from a listener who grew up near the Montana-Idaho border. It's a quiet, rural area where not much usually happens. This took place years ago, near the end of August. While driving to work one morning on a two-lane highway, he noticed a light blue sedan pulled over on the shoulder. It looked like it had been there for a while, no hazard lights, no one was on. He slowed down but didn't stop, figuring someone had run out of gas and walked to a nearby farm for help. But on his drive home that evening, the car was still there. Only now, the driver's side door was wide open. That felt wrong. He called the non-emergency line to report it. The next morning, the car was gone, and he thought that was the end of it. About a week later, he saw a news report about a missing person. They showed a picture of the car, and it was the exact same one he'd seen on the side of the road. It belonged to a man from out of town who had vanished on his way to his destination. He called his brother, Benjamin, who was a firefighter, and asked if he knew anything. Benjamin confirmed the sheriff's department was organizing a search party, and our storyteller convinced his brother to let him join. A few days later, he was with a small group of officers and volunteers, searching the woods near where the car had been found. Soon, one of the search pairs radioed in. They'd found something, an old, half-sunken maintenance shack, almost completely swallowed by the wilderness. Inside, the shack was dark and damp. that there were signs someone had been there recently. Empty bottles and food wrappers were scattered around. Then a firefighter pointed his flashlight at one of the walls. There, splintered in the wood, was a single clean bullet hole. No casing, no blood, just the hole. The lead officer immediately got on his radio, and moments later, he asked all civilians, including our storyteller, to leave the scene. His brother Benjamin later told him that even the firefighters were sent away shortly after, and then the case went completely silent. No more news reports, no updates from the police. It was as if it never happened. Weeks later, he went back to the location, hoping to find the shack again, but it was gone. Not collapsed or burned down. It had just vanished. He still drives that same highway, and every year, as summer turns to fall, he thinks about that car, that bullet hole, and the shack that disappeared without a trace. Our final story is from a man who loved solo camping. It was a tradition he'd kept since he was a kid. Last August, he decided to head out for a weekend trip. He picked a remote spot deep in the woods, far from any marked trails or other campers. The first night was perfect calm, quiet, and peaceful. The next day, he spent the afternoon hiking to a nearby river to fish. He lost track of time and didn't start heading back to his campsite until after the sun had set. He was making his way through the dark forest with his headlamp when he saw another light in the distance. It was swinging back and forth, like someone walking with a lantern. Relieved to know someone else was out there, he called out, "Hello, are you camping too?" The light immediately stopped moving. Then, after a few seconds of complete silence, it just went out. A moment later, he heard a violent crashing sound in the undergrowth. It sounded like someone was running at full speed through the trees, not towards him and not away from him, just moving erratically through the darkness. He was spooked, but he tried to convince himself he'd just startled another camper. By the time he got back to his tent, his nerves were frayed. He quickly ate and tried to get some sleep. Sometime after midnight, he woke up and needed to step outside. The moon was bright, casting a pale light over the clearing, and that's when he froze. Standing about 15 feet from his tent was a figure. It was perfectly still, just watching him. His voice trembled as he whispered, "Who's there?" The second the words left his mouth, the figure let out a shrill, inhuman scream and charged straight at him. He barely had time to grab the knife from his belt before the attacker slammed into him, knocking them both to the ground. They rolled in the dirt as the person clawed at his face, literally clawed, like an animal. In the chaos, he managed to slash at his attacker's hand. That seemed to do it. The figure scrambled to its feet and bolted back into the woods, shrieking and laughing maniacally. He sat there in the dirt, bleeding and trembling, listening to the horrifying laughter fade into the night. He didn't sleep for the rest of the night. As soon as the sun came up, he packed his gear and ran out of those woods as fast as he could. He never called the police. He'd been camping in an unauthorized area and figured they wouldn't believe his story anyway. But to this day, he can still hear that scream, a sound that was human, but twisted into something monstrous and unnatural. He hasn't gone camping alone since. And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching and listening to these chilling encounters. What do you think happened in these stories? Let me know your theories down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.